What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his court. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. It's good to have Willie Nice back with us, Chili, Will back with us. But let's get into this. Ecclesiastes 9 and 11 in the New Living Translation says this: I observed some things, something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race, and the strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. It is all decided by chance, by being in the right place at the right time. Now, I said that because we're going to go over the NBA playoffs this week. I have had the opportunity to observe the Celtics, and I think too many people have been drinking the Celtics Kool-Aid. That's just me because what they did to Brooklyn, because Brooklyn, I don't care what anybody tells me, and I've been saying this, they're not a good team. And that James Harden made them worse. That James Harden trade made them even worse. Because Brooklyn is dealing with the same thing Milwaukee is dealing with, and that is Milwaukee has 3 players that can get buckets. The rest of them cannot. Brooklyn's got 2 players that can get buckets, but Brooklyn's 2 players don't play any defense. So what you saw Celtics getting rid of them in 4 really wasn't a true test of who the Celtics was. The Celtics beating the Bucks, to me, really wasn't a test of who the Celtics really were, because you were dealing with a Chris Middleton-less Bucks and role players who couldn't create their own shots and were also off from the 3. But what you're beginning to see now versus the Heat is truly who the Celtics are. And that is the Celtics, when you're up in Jaylen Brown's face and when you're up in Jason Tatum's face, these guys crumble under that kind of pressure. They don't like dogmatic defensive players with tenacity that will ride them all the way up and down the court. And if you look at the game Saturday, Jason Tatum looked like he was completely discombobulated. Like, I don't know how to get a shot off. I don't know how to get a shot. I don't know when to shoot. He was trying to force the offense, and it really took their team off of their offensive scheme. And so I'm not real, and I haven't been impressed. I really thought the Bucks, even with their injury, was going to beat the Celtics. But,
I did too.
But like we said last week, to me, the reason why the Bucks lost that series wasn't because of Boston was a better team. To me, it was because they were just dog tired. Yeah. From Giannis having to play center for a majority of the regular season to Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday also playing in the Olympics, so their legs didn't rest. And now the injury that Chris Middleton got remind me of the same injury that Kevin Durant got, because it was a tired legs injury. Same with Klay Thompson. Their injuries weren't something that was just, they came down funny. These were just tired leg injuries that caused them to look this bad. And so I'm looking at the Celtics and I'm going, this is really who you are. This is who you were against Brooklyn, and who you were against the Bucks wasn't who you are. It's a testament to how bad the Bucks were, the condition the Bucks were in, and just how bad Brooklyn was. But to say the Celtics were like the best team, they were better than the Bucks, absolutely not. And they definitely aren't better than Miami. So my question is, and I'll let y'all get into it, who do you think is coming out of the East and why? Go ahead, Will. We'll let you go.
Hey, I think Miami is coming out of the East, but I thought Miami was coming out of the East the whole time. I even thought the Bucks, even though if they would have got past Boston, I thought they would have failed to Miami. Miami is just a tough team, and Miami does something that only a few of the teams in the NBA do. And that's even when the shot clock is going low, they keep on executing. They keep moving. Now, Golden State do the same thing, but a lot of the teams in the NBA, when the shot clock get low, they give it to their best player, and everybody else just watch that player try to get a bucket.
Right.
And Miami don't play like that. They don't care who scored. They don't care who shoot. They play tough defense, and they got a lot of very skilled players, and they got a lot of veterans. So I thought they would be the toughest team in the East, and I thought they would come out of the East. Now, we still got a lot of basketball to go in the East, but I'm glad that Miami is up 2-1. When they were when it was 1-1, a lot of the talking heads was talking like it was 2-0. I was like, man, Miami won a game and Boston won a game. What's the big deal? But everybody's talking like Miami was done. Well, come to find out, Miami is not done. They had a pretty good showing, even though their star player, Jimmy Butler, went down in the second half. So it's my prediction that I would like to see. And I think what's going to happen is that the Miami Heat will represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals this year.
T-Mac.
Yeah, first I'll give Boston some credit. I mean, I was thankful that they humiliated the Nets with all the talk of folks just giving them the title and the favorites and the unbeatable duo of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They got swept. So shut up. Thank you, Boston, for that, if nothing else. Now, going against the Bucks, I thought that the Chris Middleton injury would be problematic. But even with that, I thought the Bucks had enough margin in terms of being a better team than Boston that they would be able to absorb his loss and still put it together. And quite frankly, they had a chance to win Game 6, coming back from Game 5 in that series against Boston, dramatically down 14 in the fourth quarter, coming back, snatching victory out the jaws of defeat in such dramatic fashion, then coming back home for Game 6, 80% or 80% plus of Game 7s where the team won, Game 5. That team went on to win the series. So the Bucks had the percentages in their favor. They were coming back home to Milwaukee. That was in their favor. And it was 80 degrees that particular day as well. So they were coming home to sunshine. So I thought that all of the factors were there for them to get the job done. They didn't, and then just flat ran out of gas in that Game 7. So Boston did what they had to do to dispose of Milwaukee. So I will give them credit for that. Although I, might put an asterisk by it because I think the Bucks are still the better team, but they didn't get it done. So Boston is there. As for this current series, the Celtics and the Miami Heat, I also think I want Miami to come out because I didn't want Boston to get past Milwaukee, but they did. I thought Miami was pretty tough. They were I was most concerned about them all year and thought that we would have to face them in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was going to be tough, and we would need to be at full strength as well as be as clutchy as we were last year. I mean, the Bucks, as we watched that run to the championship, stepped up in ways, quite frankly, that we hadn't seen them step up in terms of making big shots, getting big stops, and doing it in consecutive possessions down the stretch, doing what it took to win the game. Mind you, they were down 0-2 in the championship against Phoenix and won that series. So the Bucks did that thing last year, and giving us a glimpse of that, we thought we'd be able to get an instant replay of that same kind of tenacity, but with all the different factors that you all have mentioned thus far, they were contributing to our early demise. All that said, I think that Miami is the better team. I think that they came into this season with, some determination to get the job done. And they had the mentality of whoever we facing, it's going to be a dogfight. And you're going to have to work like heck to get past us because we plan on going to the finals and, meeting them. We ain't scared of nobody out west either. I think the thing that gives them the edge over Boston is that I think the Boston two players, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they don't necessarily like that, up close, tough defense, but they're coming into their own. They've been great players. They've stepped up, even though Jason Tatum only had, 8 points or so in Game 3. Jaylen Brown had 40. So they still can give it to you, even though we don't like this up aggressive in your face kind of play. they realize that for them to go far, they're going to have to play like superstars, and not tier 2 superstars, but tier 1 superstars. So I think this series still has a lot of basketball left, but I think that Miami has the depth to get it done. Their starters, like Will said, can kind of, we don't necessarily care who's the leading scorer. Bam Adebayo can get the basket. Jimmy Buckets can get the basket. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else in that starting 5, it's cool. The other thing is that they have a good bench. I mean, Tyler Hero has been solid. He'd averaged like 20 points this year off the bench, and it's been a legit 20 points, not no fluke. And he hasn't necessarily even played his absolute best, but he's still a factor. And they got a designated gunner that hasn't even really been getting that much burn lately, and that's Duncan Robinson. So they still got some stuff in the cupboard that they ain't even unleashed yet. So I think if Miami plays Miami basketball, that discipline stuff, I think Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley, they have kind of a system. Golden State, when we think systems have a system, Miami has kind of a grungy, grimy system too, but it works. Put you in the mind of the New England Patriots on the football field. Might not be glamorous, but it's straight lunch pail, and they get the job done. So I think that they are expecting to advance, and I would be surprised if Boston, put them out and represented the Eastern Conference in the final. So I think I'm going with Miami in that series.
I think there's also 2 huge factors for Miami that have been absolutely tremendous for them. And that's one is Victor Oladipo and PJ Tucker. Mm-hmm. Both of them have been locked down defensive players and have been hitting their open shots, which is what PJ did here in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. And I think PJ's significance in a team that already got some dog in him, he adds something to that team that's intangible, that teams don't seem to understand what he brings until they get him on their team or till they play against him and they realize, man, this dude is a beast. Mm-hmm. He's a monster. And what he does is so significant and a lot of times does not get highlighted. A lot of times does not get talked about. But when it comes down to a momentum swing, we've seen PJ do it time after time. When they need a stop from a player and when they need another team's best player locked down, PJ has been able to do that and irritate him.
To your point, Patrick Skip, the team's already some dogs. What PJ brings is the junkyard in front of that dog. Now they become junkyard dogs.
Right. And he relishes in that role. Mm-hmm. And what he does is if you're a tough team, he makes you tougher. Right. If you're a weak team, he makes you tough. And it's amazing how the mentality and honestly, PJ is the player that got Bobby Portis his money.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fact.
You're the only reason, PJ is the reason why you're still on the Bucks.
Yes.
Let's not get this twisted, bro. Because of what PJ did, it allowed you to do what you do.
Yeah.
But he is a major factor for whatever, and he's been that major factor ever since he's been in the league. So those 2 right there have been really series changers for Houston. And if they play like they played again, they'll probably sit Butler again.
Yeah, for Miami, you mean?
Yeah. If they play like they played again, they'll probably sit Jimmy Buckets for another game and really rest whatever injury he had. And if he's healthy, it's problems. Because what we're seeing is where Boston is really weak is in the middle. They're weak and they have a problem with an agile big man. The problem that Giannis couldn't do is he couldn't play big man because he's too busy trying to have to bring the ball down, be a distributor. So he couldn't get Al Horford in foul trouble. He couldn't get their centers in foul trouble, which would have opened it up for him and everybody else.
Now, do you think, Pastor Skip, that was on his own volition, or was that just a faulty game plan of Coach Bud? Because I thought that early on in that series, after game 1, get the ball out of his hands and let the point guard bring the ball up. You get down on the block and take advantage of your athleticism.
I'm gonna say this to you. What we have to, for me, and really looking at this, Bud has never changed his coaching style. The coaching he was doing that we didn't like, he did that last year too. It's just that you had the players that could make up for what he was doing. But this year, he didn't have the players to fix that, to make the difference up. And it really showed that what he was doing in 2020, he did it again in 2022. And now what made him look like such a great coach and gave him an extension now makes him look like the same cat that they were saying, get rid of him. Because it fell back to that. Let Giannis do what he wanted to do. Yes, Giannis was setting records for the first player ever in NBA history in a series to get 200 points, 100 assists, and 50 rebounds in NBA history. Nobody's ever done that. But you didn't win. So was it worth it? You know, so I do think, and I think all of us are in agreement that Boston is coming out this series. You want to add to this before we talk about the West, Will?
Wait. We're not
Boston
in agreement. No, me and Tim in agreement. We saying that Miami is coming out.
I'm sorry, I meant Miami. All three of us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I apologize. Thank you for correcting me.
Oh yeah, what was the question now?
Do you want to say anything else to this before we talk about the West?
Yeah, I'll just say this about Bud. You guys know I'm a Bud fan. That's no secret.
Right.
You know, I've said that on this show.
Right.
But I thought that he was in a real tough spot because we already playing 4 against 5 offensively with Grayson Allen or
Hill?
No, not Hill. Grayson Allen or
Connaughton?
my guy from Marquette.
Wes Matthews.
Right. So we're playing 4 against 5 offensively whenever they on the floor. And then when you take one of them off or somebody else off and bring on Hill, now we're playing 3 against 5 offensively. And what showed was the Bucks didn't have enough firepower to keep up.
Exactly.
But they didn't have enough firepower to get past. And I think a lot of people would have liked to see Carter play instead of Hill. And a lot of people would have liked to see Connaughton play more than Grayson Allen. But for some odd reason, that didn't happen. I think that was a serious coaching mishap on Bud's part.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. Once again, to me, Bud was outcoached by a rookie coach. Because it seems like Boston made whatever adjustments was need to be made to win the series, whereas Bud was like, we're going to do this our way, and we're going to stay with our way. And whether our way is working or not, at least we're going down with the ship. And that's not okay. There has to be adjustments made. If you got a guy hitting deadly from the 3 and you keep letting him shoot, that ain't necessarily on the players. The coach ain't saying, go out there and stop him. You know, so we'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's get to the West. Let's get to the West.
Yeah. So listen. So the West is looking also, like you said, very unpredictable. Yes, the Golden State Warriors. Now, the West is Dallas against the Warriors. The Warriors are looking Warrior-like with the way they're playing and moving the ball around and hitting. But what we saw for me with the Warriors is they're very vulnerable against athletic bigs and athletic guards. Very vulnerable against them. And Luka has just been giving them problems. I mean, he's been the problem child during this series. And I still think it's going to probably be the Warriors coming out of this series. For me, out of the West, I think it'll be the Warriors. But Luka's been he's been like Bullwinkle. He's been pulling the rabbit out of his hat, you know, and he's been doing it and it's been looking effortlessly. Like he's been getting to every spot he's wanted to get. It's just a matter of whether or not he's making the shot. But where he wants to get, he's been getting there, and there hasn't been a problem with him getting there. Now, when he's hitting that shot, Dallas is tough. And the Warriors have no answer for Luka. It don't matter who it is.
It ain't the Warriors. The NBA ain't got no answer for Luka.
Right.
Well, I'll agree with that. But he's become, like Paul said, a real thorn in their flesh. You know, and so but I do still think it's going to be the Warriors. Where are you at with this one, Tim?
I would have to agree. I mean, Luka has been, must-see TV, quite frankly, and we kind of peeped it, a few years back, his rookie year. He came in like gangbusters, highly ballyhooed, much talked about, the European sensation, playing pro basketball since he was 14 years old, blah, blah, blah. We didn't know if we could believe the hype or not. But since he's been in the game, he's been giving it to these grown men the whole time. And even now, he's only like 21, 22 years old. He is a phenomenal talent, kind of a mixture between like a Larry Bird and a, LeBron James, no cap. So he's very, very highly skilled. The challenge with them, though, is that it's pretty one-dimensional. I always thought that if Luka could get another supporting player who was really good and maybe get a third one that was all right, they would be very, very dangerous. I thought Spencer Dinwiddie would be that number 2. I thought he'd be a better fit with Luka than the guy that he had, Porzingis. Right. And Dinwiddie has been a little up and down. I watched him throughout the season. He's had some very, very big highs, a couple, big highs in the playoffs as well. He's also had some tremendous lows where he scored in single digits in the playoff game. And you can't be the number 2 guy and you go for single digits in any playoff game when your main man is dropping 30 and 40 points on the opponent's head. And so I think that they have a depth problem. Luka is, top tier, tier 1. I think he's an all NBA first team player, but the drop off between him and the second best player there on any given day is significant. Now, Jalen Brunson has really been a pleasant surprise. He's been playing like an all-star, quite frankly, from the guard position. I think this is the contract year for him, looking to go ahead and get his bread, and he should be able to get his paper after having a great regular season and a pretty good postseason as well. But those 2, I don't think is enough. Now, Spencer Dinwiddie can get his act together. Golden State can be in some trouble. I mean, Golden State is looking like Golden State of old, the old dynasty they used to have, where they used to run up and down and just make players, other teams look like mincemeat, but they are vulnerable as well. And quite frankly, Dallas should have won game 2 after being up double digits most of the game. They just, haven't been there before, and Golden State did what Golden State does. If Dallas can muster up some of that same mojo, if you will, that they did against Phoenix and say, you know what? We're going to lull y'all to sleep. We're going to make y'all think y'all got this, but we're going to give y'all something when we get back to the big D and come back to Golden State tied 2-2. If Luka can get some sustained help, I think they're dangerous. I think he's one of those players that can have one of those, retarded, crazy game, like 60 points and 21 assists in the same. He got that kind of stuff. So I ain't worried about Luka. Luka just needs some supporting cast that can sustain momentum and hit clutch baskets intermittently when everybody is crashing in on him. Like Jordan gave that pass to John Paxson, he hit it. He gave that pass to Steve Kerr. Hey, I just need you every once in a while just to hit a J for me, clutchy. If he can get that kind of help, we might have an upset in this second round. And improbable as it is, Dallas could represent the West as opposed to Golden State. As it is right now, I still see Golden State coming out of this. But if Luka can get some help sustained, I wouldn't be surprised if they shocked them, because I had Phoenix coming out and these duckers put Phoenix out. So they can do it. It's possible, although improbable, but it is possible. But I think Golden State is coming out of the West.
Well, I want to give shout outs to the Milwaukee connection.
Yes, sir.
Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole. They represent Milwaukee very proud. Them guys on the biggest basketball stage. They playing like really, really, really tough basketball. So shout out to the Milwaukee crew. I do want to say this about Dallas, though. Dallas got last game, they had the same problem that the Bucks had throughout their series. The Bucks were only good when the players could hit the open shots that Giannis created for them. Whenever the Bucks hit the open shots, we in finals. But it was a lot of times they couldn't do that. And Dallas got the same problem. They rely on that 3 so heavy, and Luka is able to deliver the ball. He's able to get double teams. He's able to get them open looks. The problem with Dallas is they're not hitting a lot of those shots. And if they don't hit those shots, like Milwaukee didn't hit all those open shots that Giannis created, they're going to be going fishing also. So I think Golden State got the inside track on this. I think they got the veteran savvy. They definitely have the coach. So Luka can do all that he wants to do. I mean, Giannis is unstoppable, but one man just can't beat you. And I think that's the problem Dallas is going to have. Those others are too inconsistent. Sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't.
Right. I agree. I think the other thing that Dallas needs to get, another player they need to get going, is Tim Hardaway Jr. You know, he needs to, because I think he just came off injury for this series.
Yeah, he did.
And he
missed a lot of time too.
Missed a lot of
Well,
time.
I didn't even know did he play in the last game?
I think he got a couple minutes. I think I saw
I
one.
didn't even know he was available. That's news to me. Wow.
So yeah, but he needs to also start to contribute. And we only got a minute left, y'all. So who do you think's gonna win it all? I personally think it's going to be Miami. And I think it's because of those reasons. Miami is extremely strong. They got the thickest bench on the left in the playoffs. And I think they will be able to handle Golden State if they're coming out of the West. I think Miami can beat them. Who you got, Will?
I'm going with Miami also. I don't think Golden State, the way that they play defense is really impressive, but I think it's impressive because it's the West. In the East, it's a lot of tough physical teams like that, and they're not gonna get away with some of that. I mean, I can't see Steph Curry and Jordan Poole and guys like that stopping PJ Tucker and Jimmy Butler and guys like Oladipo, Kyle Lowry. I can't see them stopping them from doing what they want to do. They just don't have enough. They're not manly enough to do that.
Right.
So my pick is definitely the Heat.
Yeah, so in my heart, I really want Miami to win it all, particularly against, Golden State, so I can preserve some trash talking rights. But my head is going with Golden State. And I think that the Milwaukee kids that Will talked about, Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole, I think they have really been the difference. I mean, Klay Thompson hasn't necessarily had to have been the Klay of old because Jordan Poole has really emerged as low-key, all-star caliber, and he's been very, very consistent. Kevon Looney has been an anchor, down low, and if he's going to be playing like he played in the other game just recently, he's going to be more than adequate form. And I think folks like Draymond Green can kind of bring some of the same PJ Tuckerness that he adds to Miami to that Golden State team. I mean, Golden State has really just kind of earned my respect from the standpoint of when they get to the finals, they typically handle their business. This year, they're also trying to prove that they didn't necessarily need Kevin Durant to dispose of my man, LeBron James. Those two championships they got, with him. And they really wanted to say, hey, we can go ahead and do this thing again. We understand our dynasty was a few years removed, but we can go ahead and reassemble and come back together like old school Voltron and still come back and get some hardware. So if they get to the finals, it's going to be hard than a mug for me not to go with them. So I'm thinking Golden State, if they get to the finals, going to win it all.
Now, let me just say, my heart is with the Milwaukee crew. Definitely. But honestly, I think Miami is just put together and constructed in a way where they got some serious veterans.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, another great show. Meet us back here every Tuesday night from 7 to 7:30. Same bat time, same bat channel for the #1 faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Court. Until next week, have an amazing week. Peace.
Bam.